What year is this, Pete?
2014.
So we got 2014 RZR 800, 800S,
800S.
800S.
But the 800 regular should work the same way for this.
Okay, it needs a new belt, and the way to do these belts is you got to do it from the cockpit. So Pete, if you want to go ahead and first thing we're going to do is take off the under the seat. There's a guard. I'm sure it's just to keep mud and every other part out of the cockpit, but that pops out. And then after that, huh?
Trying to get into there.
And then after that, see where the seatbelt lashes are? That whole bar needs to come out. And those look like a 12 or 14 millimeter, or 13 or 14.
Tell you what, it's not so far. Should have ready with the tools. Should have ready with the tools.
Oh yeah. Gotta find a couple tools, be right back. So piece gathering tools, this is the machine we're working on. It's got some sort of crazy speaker box in the back. And apparently he's starting to work. So with 5/8, we gotta get that seatbelt bar off.
Oh, right. You trouble.
Probably got a nut on it. It's got a nut on the back. Let me get a wrench. Okay, just got to go ahead and get the seatbelt off.
5/8.
5/8 will do the trick. He's got a secondary battery installed on his machine, making that nut a little difficult to get to, but I was able to get there.
Out.
Now that that's out, we got the clutch cover in plain sight. The next thing to do is, Pete, you should probably go on the other side.
I'm going to just grab that.
We're gonna get go ahead and take off the hose clamp that holds on the breather hose.
This one here?
Yep.
Yeah, we'll do that in a minute.
Apparently we're not gonna do that yet. We're gonna take start taking off these. They're all 10 millimeter bolts to hold on the clutch cover. And there's like 150 of them. Now I think there's like 8. 2. I don't know. There's a bunch.
Did you grab a screwdriver for that?
No. Flathead.
The guy who rides this thing gets it dirty.
What's that?
The rider gets it dirty.
Yeah.
Just working our way around. Probably have too long of an extension on right now, so we're going to switch.
Power tools would work great here, but if you're on the trail, you're limited with what you have. So if you have a small tool kit with some sockets, some extensions, and wrenches, you should be good to go. This is plastic, so the bolts aren't screwed into anything metal, it's screwed into a plastic shroud on the back. So when you're tightening these back down, you don't want to make them super tight.
Everything's all packed in
His
here.
dipstick is in his way. Okay, now to the messy part underneath.
I'll get to that in a second. Let's get the hose clamp over here.
He's the kind of guy that does the easy stuff first and the hard part later. I don't agree with that myself because you just set yourself up for failure. But
Alright, well I'm going to feel around for the rest of these.
oh, we're gonna watch you do it.
Alright.
Watch you struggle.
Got another one.
Okay.
On a drive shaft.
Appears like there's probably only one or 2 or 3 more. So I think we're good. The last 2 are gonna be the most difficult. Having a lift would be awesome. He's starting to sweat now.
I just thought this job was going to be even worse than this, and I think that's
that's why I waited so long to do it. But it's really not that bad.
When we first thought about doing this, we were in the parking lot in,
In January, and it's
this-
now August.
no, the Snurt Run, right? Weren't we in the
Yeah,
Snurt
that's
Run?
it, you're right.
And we were replacing belts on a, what do we have? 1,000 RZR, but the clutch and everything is on the side that you can get to from the rear wheel well, so that was easy to get to. And then what else was there? Jared's, what's he got?
He's got a Maverick 1000.
He's got a Maverick 1000. It was also under the wheel well. When we looked at Pete's, you could see it from the wheel well. You could see the clutch cover, but clearly it was behind the seat and all that, so we didn't even bother doing it until today. Thought it was going to be a little more difficult than this, but
Not too bad. I'm on the last one, I can tell.
if you can reach all the bolts, which you can with a medium-size extension and 10mm socket, and he's got big fat hands, so he can still reach there, so anybody can do it.
That's for sure.
When you reinstall this, you're going to be careful because there is a gasket, there's like a rubber O-ring all wrapped around this thing, and that's to keep the water and mud out. So you want to kind of make sure that you get it seated right. Now, this is the hard part. It looks like you clock it, keep going counterclockwise. And then it'll kind of tear out the... There you go.
There we go.
All right. Now, to do the clutch, there's several ways to do the belt on the belt or on the clutch, and there's a tool that compresses or that opens up the driven clutch, and that will let the belt go down in the V, and so you can get it out. But another way is just to grab a hold of it. You just grab a hold of it and pull up hard. It'll come off like a bicycle chain. Okay? So once that's off, the belt comes out. And when you reinstall a belt, if you notice, let me see the new one. If you notice the label on it, it says Polaris and then the number. You want to be able to read that label when you put it on. So you don't want to put it on this direction because when you're looking at the machine, you're not reading the label. You want to put it on this direction. You always want to be able to read the label, and that way you know you're putting it on the correct way. And to reinstall it, again with a snowmobile it's a little more difficult because the springs are a lot stiffer, but you can just, as long as the machine's in neutral, just roll this around like a bicycle chain. Maybe.
You're almost there.
Stand by.
Watch your fingers. There we are.
Okay.
Another trick I learned, John, on the internet is that you want to make sure that your clutches are lined up. So what
Yeah,
I
we'll
learned
take a look
from
at that.
is,
You got a flashlight? I'll show real quick. Yeah, this is kind of cool. If you look down,
there's a shim back here that allows for the adjustment, but what you want to look for, and we got to start it up to see this for sure, is to see if there's play on the front side or the back side.
well, not play, a gap.
A
You
gap,
want
right,
the
gap.
equal gap from the belt to this face and then the belt to the back face.
So to see whether you have a problem or not, you actually have to put it in park and fire it up and rev it. So we're going to do that.
So what it's doing is it's going to run the belt. You want to run the belt up and down both clutches, okay? And then when you let off the gas, the belt is going to find the medium. So go ahead and rev it up a little bit higher. A little bit higher. All right, release it. All right, now kill it. All right, so now what we're going to do, if you want to go in there with a flashlight, you see the belt and you see this clutch surface, and it looks like he's got an even gap, both forward and backwards, so we know that the clutch is aligned. So we're good to go. Now we're just going to go ahead and reinstall this cover. I don't know if he's going to dig any mud out while it's there, but we're going to go ahead and reinstall the cover. I'll show that struggle too because that's going to be fun. And then this one is done. Did you notice how smooth it was already?
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
It's
so-
gonna ride way better.
So when you know your belt is going bad, when you go really, really slow RPM, you can kind of feel the machine, like it's almost like it's
Slipping.
riding over bumps.
Slipping, hesitating. It actually responded better in low than it did in high. You can definitely feel the bad belt in high.
And what happens is when the belt is, let's see, when the belt is stationary on that clutch, and then this one starts to squeeze down and it wants to drive and that clutch won't let it, you know, say you're on a rock or you're in high range stuck on a rock, well, this will squeeze down on the belt, and as it's squeezing, it actually burns a spot on the side of the belt, and that's where you're going to get that little lumping effect. So now he's got the new belt, and it should ride really good. But I'm going to go ahead, turn this off for a second. He's going to clean out or do whatever he's got to do, and then I'll show the reinstallation. I'll try to show this on the video. I don't know if I can or not, but on this old belt, I can clearly see where there was some burn spots. If you look closely at these ribs right here, you can see this line right along the edge. Okay, and you can feel a groove with your finger. You can feel it. And you come over here on a good part of the belt, there is no line, and it's nice and smooth. Well, that's what happens. It gets to this area and chews up, burns into the belt, and this is where it actually is narrower than the rest of the belt. So if you can think about it as this thing is turning around, when the narrow spot gets into the driven clutch, that driven clutch will actually collapse a little bit and actually make the machine slow down slightly, and that'll give you that bumping effect. So Pete opted out of cleaning his belly pan, which I don't disagree with because I'm hungry and I want to go get lunch.
I'm gonna spray this before I put the covers back in.
Yeah, so he got the clutch cover in. Did it go on easy?
Everything went back together pretty smoothly here.
Okay.
I'm surprised. I think I hesitated so long because somebody said it was so difficult, but it's actually easier than I thought.
Okay.
Wonder what the dealer charges.
And just remember, don't tighten them up super tight.
I'm not even using.
You gotta swear? That's cool.
Oh, I didn't hear tape.